Have you just booked an amazing guest for your podcast, but now are left wondering, how do I actually get the best interview for my show? In this video, I've got 6, count them 6, surefire tips to turn you into the master of the podcast interview. A while ago, we put out a video detailing everything that you needed to book an amazing podcast guest. But what do you do after you book the interview? What can you do to ensure that you get the best possible interview for your show that not only will engage your audience, but will impress your guest, putting you leaps and bounds ahead of other podcasters? That's what we're going to tackle today. Tip number 1, research your guest.
Research? Why?
Yes, research. If you followed our guide to booking your podcast guest, you should already have your research done. You should know what your guest is known for and what they are currently working on. This research will help form the basis for your interview questions and can ensure that those questions are beyond basic. Tip number 2, listen to previous interviews with your guest.
You want me to steal questions?
No. I'm not telling you to steal questions from another podcaster. Quite the contrary. Listening to other podcasts that have featured your guest previously can help you identify questions that have been asked to that guest 1,000 times over. Your guest might get tired of answering the same questions over and over and over again. So knowing what those questions are can help to avoid that. Also, listening to previous interviews with your guests can help you to understand what kind of demeanor your guest is going to bring to your show. Are they laid back, more formal, or are they a mixture of both? You won't know until you listen. Tip number 3, conduct a pre-interview.
A pre-interview? Why would I need that when I've got a real interview?
Pre-interviews are informal conversations that you have with your guest ahead of the actual interview. If you've never met your guest before, this is your chance to really break the ice with them and build that rapport ahead of the actual interview. The result is a more laid-back, conversational interview from the start, rather than one that warms up halfway through the interview. This is also where you can informally share details about your podcast, your intentions for the interview, and more details about who your actual audience is with your guest ahead of the interview. So don't skimp on the pre-interview. Tip number 4, send your questions to your guest before the interview. Now I know what you're thinking.
Before the interview? But I want my guests to be surprised by my interview questions. Don't crush my dreams.
Yeah, okay. But the problem is that your guest might not appreciate surprise gotcha questions. It is good practice as a podcast host to be as transparent with your guest as possible. And that includes providing a list of potential interview questions that could be asked during the course of your interview. This just helps build that rapport even more between you and your guest. You want your guest to feel as comfortable as possible, sharing their insights, sharing their stories with you and your audience. And what better way to facilitate that than to share those potential questions in advance? Tip number 5, don't be afraid to go off book.
Wait a minute. You just said for me to send my interview questions in advance. Which one is it?
It's both. Prepared questions are great to get the ball rolling in an interview, but don't feel that you need to be tied down to them. Being a good interviewer means being an active listener. If your guest happens to go deep into a story or topic, feel free to go off book. Ask follow-up questions based on their story. The result is going to be a much richer interview than one that were to only use those prepared questions. Our final tip is to follow up with your guest after the interview.
But I told them thank you after the interview and that the episode will drop in a few weeks. Why should I follow up?
Again, it is about being a good host. Following up with an email is your opportunity to formally thank your guest for sparing their time to be on your show. This is also where you can supply your guest with everything they need to share out your episode once it's dropped. This could be episode artwork, pre-crafted tweets, and even custom links to your episode. Speaking of which, Libsyn has the feature of creating custom stats codes that allow you to track just how effective your guests are at sharing their episodes. Check out the link in the description to our knowledge base article that shows you how to get set up with this amazing feature. And there you have it. You now have everything that you need to knock that interview out of the park.
Thanks, Computer Brian.
You're welcome, Elsie. Well, what do you think? Are there some super secret tips that you have used in your podcast interview? Let us know in the comments below. I'm Brian Cottington with Libsyn, and remember, keep podcasting.